The right to life is one of the most important provisions of our Constitution. But without the right to self-defense, the right to life does not mean anything at all. Politicians have proposed a new law that is going to make it impossible for you to use a gun to defend yourself. It's going to make it impossible to get a gun if your reason for getting a gun is self-defense. So in other words, they're saying if you are attacked, there's somebody in your yard, somebody is harming your kids or your family, just watch them and call 10-111. If you are lucky enough, the police will show up that day. But as you know, all that you're going to get is a case number. And you're going to be told that the police are busy investigating. What is amazing is that the people behind this new bill, they have squads of bodyguards that are protecting them day and night. And these bodyguards are also armed. So I don't know if their lives are more important than our lives. Why they need protection with guns and with bodyguards 24/7, while South Africans do not need to have guns. Of course, we all know that we have a problem of crime in this country, violent crime, home attacks, and all other forms of violent crime. So this is really the time, rather, of encouraging people to get guns so that they are able to defend themselves. Some of you are silently approving this new bill because you stay in estates with high walls, high security fencing, with 24 hours security guards. We are not affected by crime that affects everybody in this country. That's why you are comfortable and you won't do anything to stop this bill from being passed. Basically, what these guys are saying is that if you are attacked, somebody is harming your family, your kids is raping them, or whatever the case is, just fold your hands, and when they are done, you pick up the phone if you still have it and dial 10-111. We have to hope and pray that the police will show up that day, because we know that the average response time in most places is 2 hours. So you tell me what would have happened in 2 hours. And we know that the conviction rate is less than 11%. So this is not a new thing. It's been tried before. Even with the previous minister of police, he tried it before. Fortunately, it was never passed. It's coming again now. There seems to be this obsession these politicians have. They're so obsessed with taking guns away from citizens, while they themselves, they are enjoying the protection of bodyguards, which, by the way, are being paid by the same citizens. In the past also, they've tried to take guns away from people using the gun amnesty program. Obviously, we know that it's not the criminals who surrendered their guns, because criminals need their guns to do their business. We end up having a situation where it's criminals that still have guns, and all the other guns are taken away from the citizens. So what is even more shocking is that a lot of these guns that are taken from people, obviously they are taken to a police station, to some safe somewhere. About 25,000 of them have been lost, and they've found their way to the hands of criminals. So they're busy collecting guns from people on one side and preventing people from using guns for self-defense. On one side, they're busy dishing out these guns to criminals. Politicians are also trying to convince us that if they take guns away from the citizens, that somehow will reduce violent crime and crime in general. Nothing could be further from the truth. Studies all over the world show us that the moment we go on this path, actually crime will escalate, because criminals know that everybody is now a soft target, and nobody's armed, nobody's got any ability to defend themselves. So day and night, the criminals will just be having free reign. It's the countries that either have good policing or liberal gun laws that seems to be doing well in fighting crime. You see, the crime is low in Switzerland, very low. People have access to guns and they can use them for self-defense. The same with Czech Republic, In Singapore, they have a very efficient policing system. Us here in South Africa, we have none of those things. So these gun control laws create a situation where it's only criminals that have access to guns or have guns. That's why you'll see that all households, everybody here now is living in prisons of their own homes with high walls, burglar gates, alarm systems, while the criminals are out there enjoying their freedom. So they're trying to say that we don't have to do anything, we have the police. If you are attacked, just fold your hands, just watch whatever the criminals are doing, don't do anything. And then after they are done, you call 10-111. And obviously we know the only thing you get from that place is the case number. Some people think that if people had guns, people will just go on a shooting spree. Nothing could be further from the truth also. Because people have knives, we have knives in our houses. Some people have spears. We have never seen anybody taking a knife and go on a stabbing spree somewhere just because they have a knife. Rather, the opposite is true. If the 21,000 people that were killed last year had guns to defend themselves, the story would have been much different. If the 41,000 women that were raped last year could defend themselves with a gun, the story also would have been very different because they would have been able to fight off the criminals. Protecting your family is the primary responsibility of the head of a household. In my opinion, is more important than providing food or shelter. The police are just there to assist us in that effort. We are told in the Bible that if we cannot provide for our own, we are worse than unbelievers. That provision does not mean food only, as we have made it to be. It also means provision of security and defense. If your plan is to leave this responsibility to the police, I think you are living in denial of reality. The police themselves have admitted that they are not adequately trained in most cases to do the detective work. We have seen also with the stats that the apprehension rate is less than 11%. Conviction rate also around 11%. So what basically means in our current system, in the current policing system that we have, 90% of the time, the criminals get away with whatever crime they commit. And we know that the response rate of the police in most places is more than 2 hours. In some instances, the police do not show up at all. Having a gun does not mean that we do not trust God. People have burglar gates, they have insurance for their cars, they have locks on their doors, but it does not mean that they do not trust God. Of course, we trust God, but God has given us a responsibility and the wisdom and resources to protect our families. I don't know if you know, but Abraham, which the Bible calls the father of faith, had more than 300 bodyguards which were armed. If the native tribes of South Africa had guns in the 1600s, where the Europeans came to this country would never have been colonized. So my point is that we have not learned any lessons even from that story. Over and over again, a gun has been a very important weapon of defense that determines the winners and the losers. My point is that your freedom and right to life does not mean anything at all if there's no right to self-defense. So we need to stop being gun-phobic, which I see is the case with most people. You can do your part to prevent this bill from being passed. They say you can send an email to comments.fcabill@csp.gov.za not later than the 2nd of July 2021. This is a responsibility that comes with freedom and democracy. Democracy does not mean we just vote and let politicians do as they please. It means we have a responsibility to tell them what they need to do, to tell them what we don't want them to do. You can also help in this effort by sharing this video. Let us not become a nation of conditioned victims.